Once upon a time, in a kingdom wrapped in rolling green hills and glistening rivers, there lived a kind and gentle girl named Cinderella. Her hair shimmered like spun gold in the sunlight, and her eyes held the quiet sparkle of hope, even in the darkest of times. But despite her warmth and goodness, her life was heavy with sorrow. After her mother passed away, her father remarried a woman with two daughters of her own who were cruel and vain. When her father fell ill and soon passed away as well, Cinderella was left in the care of her stepmother, who treated her not as family, but as a servant. Cinderella, her stepmother, would sneer, "Make sure the floors shine as bright as your Smilo-weight. You don't get one." But Cinderella would just bow her head and quietly set to work, scrubbing the stone floors until they gleamed, tending to the animals with a soft touch, and sewing her own worn clothes into something neat. Every night she would sit by the fireplace, her fingers tracing the glowing embers, dreaming of a life where kindness was rewarded and laughter filled her days. Though sorrow touched her, her heart remained soft, and she found beauty in small things: a bird singing at dawn, the delicate scent of flowers by the garden gate, or the gentle touch of moonlight on her cheeks. One day, a grand invitation arrived at the house, delivered by a royal messenger. The prince of the kingdom was hosting a ball to find a bride, and every young lady in the land was invited. Cinderella's stepsisters shrieked with delight, rustling through silk gowns and glittering jewels, while her stepmother planned which of her daughters would catch the prince's eye. Cinderella's heart sank as she watched them prepare. "I wish I could go, even for just a night," she whispered to herself, her eyes glimmering with longing. As the night of the ball finally arrived, Cinderella's stepmother refused to let her attend, giving her an impossible list of chores instead. Cinderella sat alone in the quiet kitchen, tears dampening her sleeves, her hopes seemingly crushed. Then, as if hearing the silent plea of her heart, a gentle light filled the room. From the shimmer stepped her fairy godmother, dressed in a gown that seemed to ripple with starlight. "My dear Cinderella," she said, her voice like the soft ringing of bells, "your kindness has not gone unnoticed. Tonight you shall go to the ball." With a wave of her delicate wand, the cinders on Cinderella's clothes transformed into a breathtaking gown of silver and blue, sparkling as if the night sky itself had woven it. A pair of perfect glass slippers appeared on her feet, delicate and shining. "But I have nothing to take me there," Cinderella exclaimed, her voice filled with wonder. "Fear not," said the fairy godmother with a warm smile. In a swirl of magic, a pumpkin outside grew wheels, and the mice she had befriended became magnificent horses to pull a gilded carriage. Remember, her godmother warned gently, the magic lasts only until the stroke of midnight. The ball was more beautiful than Cinderella had ever imagined. Crystal chandeliers sparkled like waterfalls of light. Laughter floated on the music, and the scent of roses and candles filled the grand hall. As she entered, every head turned, but Cinderella only saw the prince, who looked at her with a mixture of awe and wonder. "You must be the most enchanting guest tonight," the prince said, bowing low. "May I have this dance?" With a smile that lit her heart, Cinderella took his hand, and together they spun across the ballroom floor. It felt as though the entire world had melted away, leaving only the music, the lights, and the warmth of a heart meeting another. They talked and laughed as if they had known each other for years, finding a connection that felt as real and as magical as the night itself. But as the clock tower began to chime, nearing midnight, Cinderella remembered her fairy godmother's warning. "I must go," she whispered, breaking from the prince's gentle hold. In her haste to leave before the magic faded, she left behind one of her glass slippers, a fragile fragment of the magic she had worn. The prince, determined not to lose the mysterious woman who had captured his heart, picked up the slipper. "I will find her," he vowed, his voice echoing through the silent hall. The very next day, he began his search, traveling from house to house, asking every young woman in the kingdom to try on the delicate shoe. When he finally arrived at Cinderella's home, her stepsisters eagerly tried to squeeze their feet into the glass slipper, but it refused to fit. Then Cinderella quietly stepped forward. The slipper slid onto her foot as if it had been made for her, a perfect fit. The prince's eyes lit up with recognition and joy. "I found you," he said, taking her hand in his. "The kindest heart in the kingdom belongs with me." Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters could only stare in disbelief. And though Cinderella forgave them quietly in her heart, she knew that her own kindness and patience had brought her to this beautiful moment. That evening, Cinderella and the prince were married in a ceremony that bathed the entire castle in golden light. Laughter, music, and love filled the air, and the whole kingdom rejoiced. As Queen Cinderella often remembered the cinders, the hardships, and the quiet hope she had nurtured in her heart for so long, she ruled beside the prince with grace and compassion, never forgetting that true beauty lies not in what you wear, but in humility and courage. And whenever someone was treated unfairly, she would whisper to them the same words her mother had once whispered to her, even in the darkest times. Kindness can light the way, and so Cinderella's story became one not just of magic and love, but of hope, a story that shows how even the gentlest hearts can triumph, bringing joy and warmth to all who are willing to believe. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of hope and wonder. See you next time.